Good morning to everyone. Lovely to be with you on this Friday morning, our last day of the working week, our last day of this morning sessions this week. And I send out a warm welcome, might be much needed on a cold, wet Friday morning to all of you. May you feel well in this lovely, kind, compassionate Sangha. May you get a little warmth for heart and mind this morning. So we're going to talk about one last form of thirst and clinging and drivenness this morning. We talked about two other forms yesterday and the day before, and hopefully round up that idea of the second noble truth for you to practice with. I really intend to give you practices, something to reflect upon in daily life at hand in these Sangha weeks, because the Dharma needs something to be tested out and explored and lived in the nitty-gritty of the daily life. So I hope this week provides some inspiration for you to do so. I'm going to talk about maybe 10 to 15 minutes on this last theme, and then we're going to explore that in meditation as well. And then we have a final couple of minutes for your reflections and insights and sharings. They were just beautiful this week, and I wish to thank you all for your contributions and for those who silently listen in to hold the space for us and be touched by the humanness of this circle. So if you have any questions, put them into the chat box. And then just to say it's Friday, and one last reminder that if you can, we're very happy, me, myself, and Sangha Life, of course, if you support the outgoing costs and give something to support our living. That's very much appreciated, and I find it just right that I thank you for everything you gave in the past. I'm very touched by your generosity every time, and just standing. Much appreciation and a big thank you to all of you. So we're going to talk about the last form of clinging, thrive, contraction, drivenness. Yeah, these were the words we used this week to understand what clinging actually is. And the Buddha made up three aspects of this clinging, three aspects of what this tendency can be. One was the urge to experience something, to have a certain experience, kamma tanha. And yesterday we talked, probably only on the surface level, about bhava tanha, this urge to become and to be a certain person, a certain identity, a natural reflex of the mind. It's not something you do or plan to have. It's something our mind, almost let's say a standard program, our heart mind drops into to make experience feel more safe and controllable and feel more agency and know what to do. Yeah, so it brings this up, and it has its appropriate place, and it will overshoot easily if you don't take good care of it. In response to dukkha, this painfulness, this unsatisfactoriness of life, this friction and challenge with life, it's more likely to overshoot. And this is one of the links from this first to the second noble truth, to say, yes, there is dukkha. Yes, we are sensitive. And yes, we have this habit of creating a persona. And if these things come together, further dukkha is potentially can arise. So we need to keep a good eye on that. And this final third urge, it's the thirst to unbecome, vibhava. We had bhava tanha before, now we have vibhava. And you can almost see like the pendulum swings from wanting to become someone and now having a persona we don't like, feeling stuck within an identity, and the pendulum swings back and we want to undo that. Yeah, we feel so miserable about who we are. We want to uncreate that. And this is just another reflex of our heart minds. And as all the others, it will easily catch fire and overshoot. So let us explore this habit. Then vibhava, this wish to be someone, which we explored yesterday. When this arises and becomes unpleasant, I'm feeling like a bad person, a not good enough person, a problematic person, a person with such and such characteristics which are hard to handle for myself or others. This unpleasantness of the persona, this is dukkha too. Yeah, to feel, I'm not okay with who I am, that we can call dukkha. And we do that in different variations. For example, with mindfulness practice, this can arise. You might be familiar with that bringing more mindfulness, more awareness to what we do and what we say and what we actually think and what our impulses and habits and tendencies are. If we're not really skilled in practice, this will act to the self-referencing. Yeah, all of a sudden we're aware of all these things, and they, like I said yesterday, with this magnetic pull of Baba, they just add to this insufficient persona idea. Yeah, this is why mindfulness can at times be really painful, because if the self-referencing is high, is almost inflamed, further mindfulness of our tendencies and habits will just feed into that, and it can make it extra painful. And sometimes it arises in another context, this vibhava. It arises from our attempts to be a good person, a good, satisfying version of me, a better version of me. Yeah, and we tried so hard, and we become tired of it. Or we try to fit into the image of another's idea, another's perception of being good. Yeah, we tried for them, and something happens, and it is just not giving the result we waited for. We thought they would appreciate us now. We thought we would get some kind words. We thought a conflict would end now, and yet there is another turbulence, another dissatisfying moment, and it's almost like something snaps, and we have the feeling of enough. Yeah, I don't want to put in all this effort, this energy into becoming that person, being better, being good, whatever it is. And it snaps into almost the pendulum goes into the other extreme, saying, done with that. Yeah, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to hear about it again. Don't want to be that anymore. Yeah, and the counter swing comes, and it can come quite hard. It can also arise with roles and responsibilities. There I notice this a lot as well. Yeah, to say we all carry around with us like little costumes, little jackets, roles and responsibilities. Being the parent and being the caregiver and being the partner and being the boss and being, I don't know, the child, etc., etc. And in our interpersonal meetings, we take on roles, and roles come with certain responsibilities and certain standards and ideals of what we are supposed to say and ways we're supposed to behave or not behave, and even the thoughts we're supposed to think and emotions we're supposed to feel. Yeah, just picking out the image of the parent, there is a lot of expectation around the role of the parent or the caregiver, for example, to be compassionate and not to have angry thoughts about the one you're giving care for, isn't it? So standards and ideals touching all aspects of your persona. And we will rub against that because this image is fixed. It's not alive. It's, not moving. It's not adapting to the situational needs, is it? It's just like this. And when we're in the role, we're rubbing against these images, these standards and ideals, until the responsibilities and the friction with this role and these responsibilities, it becomes too much. Yeah, we don't want to be that anymore. And how easily we confuse a role, which is almost like a job description for one aspect of your life, with our whole being. Yeah, how often do we ask ourselves and actually experience ourselves being without the role? Yeah, being without. Now I'm not in this role. This situation doesn't require me to be in that role, but still my thoughts are about it, and still my thinking is about it, and still my behavior is about it. Yeah, and we can't fully put that down. And of course, at a certain point, we're reacting to that. something is getting tired and overwhelmed and overworked, and we have this movement of vibhava. And this can happen, interestingly enough, even with identities which initially feel quite pleasant and create quite a sense of worth. Yeah. Actually, for some of us, it's creating a sense of pleasant feeling and worth to be a caregiver. For others, it creates a pleasant feeling and creates a sense of worth to be have an important and responsible task at work, for example. Beautiful, yeah. And we feel nourished by that. I'm in this aspect of my life, I feel like a competent person, a caring person, an intelligent person, a wise person, whatever it is. And we feel good about that identity. Yeah. Movement of bhava. I'm that, and that feels satisfying. But soon enough, there is creeping something in, like a lingering fear of, oh, if I lose that, if I lose that, I will lose this sense of pleasantness, confidence around myself. So a lingering fear might come in to say, I have to protect this role. Yeah. What is my worth if I lose this? So some anxiety can arise just by that. Nothing happened yet. And over time, even if this role is pleasant and gives some nourishment back, we might feel an ongoing burden, just like something we have to carry along with us every day, of upholding and maintaining this role. Yeah. Every role costs a certain amount of energy because I'm fitting into something. Yeah. I'm I'm adapting my needs, and I'm adapting probably also part of my boundaries to this role. Yeah. And the one satisfying role then can become a prison. And that might just end up with a backlash to say at a certain point, it's almost like we reach breaking point and then we say, I don't want to be this anymore. Yeah. And maybe you see how that displays. It's either or. Bhava and vibhava, they can't handle the small. They can't handle the situational. They create either this person or that person. Either I am or I'm not. Yeah. They create out of a situational quality a whole being. Yeah. And that makes it very interesting. Black and white, either or, extreme or other extreme. And that is very interesting to observe. Yeah. So the dukkha of becoming, the dukkha of bhava can lead us to a backlash. Now I don't want to be this anymore. Yeah. And there is some truth to that, I find. Yeah, we can understand that the realization, the insight comes in how painful bhava can be. And we touch this dukkha of the role, being the mother, being the colleague, being the person who tries to please other, trying to harmonize others with each other or with myself, and working on that constantly. And being in touch with that dukkha, just as we said before, it creates backlash. And because the mind knows just selfing processes, and it creates another self which would be without this. And who can blame the heart mind for that? I think it always shows a lack of skilled alternative. It doesn't know how to handle that dukkha alternatively. Yeah, either I'm this or I'm that. So it creates a different persona. Now I'm the persona who won't please anyone's needs anymore. Yeah, I'm done with that. I was a people pleaser. I'm now a not people pleaser. Yeah. Whew. And I would say this is the backlash, which will create just as much pain as the other form of fixed persona will create. So when we don't want to be a pendulum, and when we don't want to be in the extremes of bhava and vibhava, what can we do? Yeah, what can we do to at least soften the swing of this pendulum? And my invitation is to rethink where we're coming from in this first and second noble truth so far. And we had said that all of this is still a response and a reaction to the underlying dukkha. There is pain, there is friction, there is tiredness, there is confusion, whatever it is, and all of this is dukkha. Yeah, And can we notice that these urges to become and to have experience and to unbecome are all just like pointers, like little alarm signs of saying, look at that. There is some underlying friction. There is some underlying not okayness with this moment. There is some underlying hunger, thirst, fear, tiredness, confusion, which we actually can turn to. Yeah. I can notice this urge to want to become and to want to unbecome, and that will be there, and it can be quite compelling at times. And I might just allow that to be in the room, and then turn, look for, listen to. We had it beautifully written one of those last days. Listen to the underlying dukkha. Can be quite a way there, yeah. And what does this underlying dukkha actually need? Yeah, what does this underlying dukkha actually need? This is one way to practice with it. And sometimes it's listening to the difference between this moment and the shadow of the past. Yeah, am I in contact with the needs, the situations, the dynamics of this moment, or is the shadow of the past experience, so to say, calling the shots? Shadow of the past might be something like, I was this person, and being this person was painful. I was this person with these qualities, or I was this person with this lack of boundaries. Maybe due to age, yeah, children cannot make much boundaries. They are quite sensitive and quite vulnerable creatures. Yeah, I was this, and this being this persona with having those experiences, that was so painful that something contracted and said, I'm going to avoid that this will ever happen to me again. Yeah. And in this attempt for protection, it's overshooting. It's overshooting again. Out of this sense of memory of deep pain we've been in, a protective layer has arisen around the heart mind, the chitta, saying, not going to happen to me again. I will do everything in my possibilities to avoid that. Yeah. And as soon as an almost similar experience arises, this shadow of the past will kick in, yeah, and create that persona, that protective persona, saying, not with me. Yeah. And the process here is almost to notice this is not the past situation, this is a present situation. I am not that past persona anymore. I'm not that vulnerable. I'm not that helpless. I'm not that unskilled anymore. Yeah, I have tools now, and I have a different sense maybe of groundedness, clarity even, yeah, to say, no, it's not going to display like this again. And then to calm this reactivity of the past, to say, I know you want to protect me, but I think I have this. I think I have this. Thank you for helping me. And it can take some time to calm this down and to soothe that, and even to convince that we really can handle the situation. But to differentiate between what it is now and what is coming from the past. And maybe last point is that we also can hear in these urges, whether it's the urge to want to have something or the urge to want to be someone or not to be someone, we can almost listen to an assumption of absolution. Yeah, time-wise calling, like this is going to be forever. I will always be like this. I am always like this. Being like this will never end. Yeah. And just maybe pay a little mindfulness to these feelings of time being something like forever. Yeah, forever, always fixed, static. And can we put in a little healthy doubt? Yeah. Easy example is like if I get tired in my role as the mother, the thoughts tend to go towards, oh, what will be in the future? Will it always be this exhausting? Will it always be this challenging? Yeah, and a whole image of family comes up as being like this. Yeah, and I have to laugh sometimes because sometimes even having the time to think about that means that my children are happily playing somewhere else. I wouldn't have the time to come into these kind of thoughts. And if I wake myself up and say, just listen, just listen, Robin is playing over there and it's all silent and he has found something to do and it's moments of ease. Yeah, dear heart mind, can you take that in? It's all okay. This trajectory of persistent fixed experience that has been interrupted right now, it's not like this. I am not like this. People come up with all like painful ideas about not being good enough and not having these qualities and these skills and always having these feelings. Can you break through that and saying, look at that right now, it's not a moment of heavy anxiety. It's an okay moment, but an okay moment is not a moment of heavy anxiety. Yeah, to poke little holes into that. So a couple of ways to practice with that and look at that. And maybe to sum up this week is to just say that all these three urges, Kama, Bhava, and Vibhava and Tanha, they come up with a strong sense of self and identity. This wish to grasp, to cling, to contract around something will always also go along with a strong sense of I, me, mine. Yeah, that will be very present. And when we notice that this too is just a dynamic, we can say, displaying, arising and falling as a natural response to dukkha, maybe some compassion arises. Yeah. And to say, well, I see, heart mind, that you try to regulate things. Yeah. I see that there is a strong sense of self and I can be even aware of that. To me, that is one of the miracles of mindfulness, that there can be a strong sense of self and yet there is something other, still aware even of that. Yeah, I can hear my inner critic screaming and screeching and I can be aware of that. And sometimes for me, a last resort, if everything is very dynamic inside, is to almost drop back into, I can be aware of that, to drop back into that awareness, not trying to do anything with it, much too inflamed, much too painful, but it's okay, at least I can just be aware. Ouch, 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 ouch. Yeah, okay. So I hope that this week of teachings gave you something to actually observe in your life, to understand that clinging is not something you bring upon yourselves or you should feel ashamed for or frustrated about. It's how your heart mind naturally works, and that our practice is about not taking that completely out of the picture. That would be just another way of vibhava, wouldn't it? Yeah, to say, I'm not going to have any clinging anymore. I am going to be a person free from clinging. Oh dear, saying that is vibhava, and this is an extreme form of relating to your experience, and you will eventually fail upon that, and then you will end up in a lot of dukkha, most probably. Yeah. So these extreme forms, the Buddha said, are not the way. Steps, pati, pada, the Buddha called the middle way, which I find beautiful, is steps back towards the middle. And I hope I could make some suggestions this week how to do that. And we're going to practice together now. And don't worry, I can put the terms all into the chat box in a moment. Okay. What about leaving the words alone? What your heart mind needed as information this morning will find its way in, and all the rest can be happily put aside for the moment. Find yourself a way to sit, to stand, to lie down. And when you found a good posture, just an invitation to the body to find ways to do little movements which might bring in an extra bit of ease, rest. comfortable experience. Pardon me, and let's at the beginning just take 2 or 3 deeper, nourishing inhales and exhales, signaling almost to body and heart mind it's okay. We're relatively safe. There is the intention to take care, not to push further, not to judge, not to make something happen, but to actually take care. Now I invite you to see if you can expand your mindfulness into a large, soft, spacious awareness, holding all of the body, not giving particular attention to anything which hurts or is tight or very active this morning, just a broad, soft awareness. Maybe having this image of one of those glass spheres which we can shake, and then there is a lot of things going on inside, a lot of snow swirling in it usually, and our mindfulness can be the glass sphere, just holding that, not having to interfere, not having to do anything with it. And we want to sit here for a while playing with 2 qualities. The one is this sense of spaciousness. If it's painful, if it's challenging this morning, you can borrow as much spaciousness as you need. You can imagine your mindfulness to be as large as the room you're in. or even bigger. This is as far back as you can step to contain that, a large sphere. Maybe only vaguely aware of that which hurts or contracts or is driven or agitated. And the other aspect is a sense of warmth, maybe just a slightest sense of warmth towards that experience. If it's painful, maybe just the warmth arising from knowing, yeah, this is dukkha, this is painful, this is challenging. Ouch. Or just imagining that this gaze of mindfulness upon this experience, this soft, very wide gaze, it has some warmth in it as well. And you will notice how your attention is almost called in different areas of the body. Can you imagine this wide, broad mindfulness to be a very relaxed, laid back listener who will turn towards that which needs to be listened to, But rather than collapsing and contracting into that listening, create first of all a bit of space to say, oh, I hear you, I feel you. Let me make some room for listening. And then you remember spaciousness. And then you remember warmth or the sense of care. Saying, oh, I notice your unpleasantness. And then you just allow this area of the body to do the talking, to do the, in whatever way it wants to express itself. Maybe it even starts to move after a while. You might notice how other areas of the body are already calling for your attention as well. Just like with children, you say, oh honey, I'll come to you next, but for now let's wait a bit. I'm still listening to this place. And once you have a feeling of, yeah, that has been nourished a bit, softened a bit, not fully relaxed, no need to make it go away, but there is something is nourished around it. Or you have the feeling of, I had enough of that. Now it's making my attention collapse. Now it's stirring up thoughts. Enough for now. And you might want to return into a non-doing, broad awareness. Just sitting, just lying down, just standing, held in that sphere of mindfulness. And I strongly recommend to come back to this largeness rather than hopping from one problematic spot to the next. This prevents meditation to become work. And then if you like to, you consciously move in on something again. Notice these different places, feelings, dynamics within calling. And we consciously move in. So I'm going to listen to you for a while, dear one. I'm going to feel you out for a bit. And right at the end, we want to come back to our larger awareness once again. Maybe you can actually feel yourself held, embraced on all sides by the warmth, the kindness, the caring aspects of mindfulness. A mindfulness which really doesn't care whether you're good enough or not, whether you've done your homework or not. It doesn't categorize like that. It just holds and is gentle and soft and warm around you. And then we equally as gently start to move the body, yawn and sigh, stretch, enjoy some movement. And when you feel ready, you can open up the eyes and come back to the screen. So we're back to the screen time. And I hope that I could provide you equally with the meditations as with the teachings of this week and an idea into what clinging actually means, what these noble truths are about, and actually give you a sense of how much they are related to our daily lives. They are not some abstract cognitive teaching, but something which we live through anyways, every day, many times. Here are the words Kama Tanha, Bhava Tanha and Vibhava Tanha coming in the chat box. And now is the time for you to share your experiences, either of this meditation or anything you explored this week, any questions you might still have, and I'm happy to respond to them. And I just put in 2 snippet pieces of advertisement, let's call it what it is, for upcoming courses, and if you like, you explore. Okay, Ruth. Yes, Ruth is asking that she would love to hear more about stepping back towards the middle, pati, another word to put in that, pati pada, and the word before is, it might be spelled wrong. Might be spelled wrong. Majjhima Patipada. Majjhima is middle, or the middle between 2 extremes, like small, large, short, long. Yeah, a middle of some sorts. And Patipada is a step towards something. Yeah. So my interpretation of these words, which the Buddha used in his discourse on the middle way, on the second noble truth, on the noble truths, is that it's what is required from us is a constant stepping back towards a sort of a middle. Our minds have the tendency to go into extremes, and what practice is a lot about is about stepping back into that middle. And these are the words which he used to introduce the 4 noble truths. That the 4 noble truths are all about stepping back into the middle. Yeah, thank you, Holly, for sharing the Dana Day. Any more questions and reflections from your part? And I just put in the sutta, which I'm referring to all the time, so you can read that, and you can read the Pali with it, and make your own interpretation rather than relying on mine, if you like. So great. Heidi's writing that there are lots of lovely takeaways this week to apply. Lovely. I love that. That's music to my ears, is the actual application. I know that we are all exposed to a lot of information in Buddhist and spiritual and mindfulness ways. But it really, for me, the first step always was to take such a teaching and then to say, what has it to do with my life? Like, can I find it somewhere? Is it something Ulla came up with? Is it something the Buddha came up with? Or can I find it in my life? Yeah. And if so, is it a useful framework to work with? And I had a lot of joy, I still have a lot of joy to actually find some sorts of framework the Buddha refers to in my life, saying, oh yeah, there it is. I found Bhava Tanha. I found Vibhava Tanha. Happy. Okay, now someone wrote Manu. Okay. If we shift our attention towards body, sensation, breath, the outer, whenever feeling that our dukkha, pain are too much to be with, is this in a way not just distraction? Yes. Yes, it is. Running away from? No. Not dealing with the pain. A soft Western approach. Great. In other schools like Goenka, they teach much more to stay with. Yeah, to be with it and to bear it. In order to see and feel the change and to grow from there. Yeah, I find this hard and difficult, but also very salutary to grow and learn from a lot. From my own experience, I feel mindful distraction is helpful. For example, going towards breath, body, outer when I have had enough of some thoughts, etc. And definitely much easier than staying with it. However, I have been wondering which of these two approaches on the long run can be more mindful, more helpful. Yeah, I'm going to take it there. Weren't we just talking about Majjhima Padipada, moving towards the middle? So there is no right and there is no wrong approach. If we go into the very extremes menu, we would probably have the one approach saying stay with it, no matter what, you stay with it. And the other approach would say, oh, as soon as it gets a little unpleasant, just distract yourself. Yeah, just distract yourself. You can see how both would not work very well. So walking towards the middle, yeah, will be a constant maneuvering of away from those two extremes towards healthy qualities. The one is a healthy quality of having some resistance to unpleasant experience. Yes to that. And the other one will be to say, I'm not going to overwhelm. Compassion for the heart mind means I'm aware when it becomes overwhelming. And then I'm doing something like healthy distraction. Yeah, that is a term I come up with, which means I'm going to bring my attention to something which is soothing, nourishing, stabilizing the heart mind to the point where I can then go back to almost expose myself to this, expose the heart mind to this unpleasantness. So it's a stepping in, it's a stepping out. Yeah. And if I notice I'm more leaning towards the stepping out and never really feel very attracted to step in again, I will lack on this quality of healthy resilience. So both are important. And I found this a beautiful example you just brought to actually put flesh to the bones in sorts of what is this middle way about. Thank you for bringing that up. So Catherine is sharing that she found the teachings helpful. Thank you. And that they put in context so many aspects of her life. Great. Where I have always thought of as elastic banding. Yeah, I will try so hard to change, be something, and then something snaps and I go into the other direction. Beautiful. That's exactly Bhava and Vibhava. So helpful to understand this more and stay with the pain for longer rather than shifting into obsessive change or snapping back into rebellion. Yes. Yes to that, and yes to saying the trigger will sometimes be so large that and the mindful vessel sometimes be so small that we can just watch the show happening. Yeah, mind shifts into another gear, and once obsessive change. And maybe now you have a framework to explain that too, because the other painful thing which can happen is to say, I did that. Yeah, now you see heart mind is going into Sankara. Heart mind is going into a form of program, and that is called selfing. Yeah, it's saying, interesting, I know what is happening. Yeah, great. So Jeremy wrote, hello, Ulla. When I started listening, I felt like not knowing what to do and very much on the edge. Not knowing where to turn to, and in almost... Oh, sorry for that. That keeps hopping back. Not to turn to, and in almost terminal state where the pain is unbearable and nothing to change that left. Yeah, sorry to hear that you experience so much pain. Your meditation felt like a warm bath, but I hope I will be able to make it through the day and the weekend. I'm seeing a psychiatrist this morning. Yeah, we will hold you in our warm embrace. And maybe, Jeremy, that is something to really take with you. Look into the chat box right now and look how many messages of compassion come through. There is an immediate response of compassion in this Sangha, which is, I find, precious. And when you have the feeling of not being able to hold that, maybe even copy out those messages of compassion. Yeah, read them through and feel held by us and feel held by the Sangha. You're not alone with this. Yeah, and maybe you can add to this warmth you just felt, and which sounds like it has helped and supported you, the warmth of the Sangha. Yeah, maybe practice with that and get any help and any support you can get this morning to make it through. And that reminds me, thank you, Jeremy, to just put in my name and my email address into this box as well for any one of you wanting to contact me. So Laura is saying, what stays with me from this week is the distinction between natural needs and desires, the middle way, and hardening to clinging, as I can apply this to all my daily struggles. Beautiful, Laura. I'm happy to have made this distinction. I think it's a very healthy and compassionate one for us to make. Holly is writing that she found clarity and simplicity really useful in helping her to understand and apply the teachings. Yeah, it's the more we grow into understanding the inner dynamics and that it's not I making this, we get more compassionate, and I think with the compassion, wisdom arises as well. Yeah, I get not entangled in this whole self-referencing thing anymore, but I can see heart mind is responding to, and this is all what dependent arising is about. Yeah, understanding what is happening, understanding what leads to what, rather than bringing in some concept of self which should explain all of that, and which then brings a sense of less self-worth, etc. with it. Beautiful. Thank you, Holly. Oh, and all these lovely messages for Jeremy. I hope you feel the warmth and the kindness of this Sangha and can take it with you. So Lisa is writing that after a medical consultation this week, she feels like everything is falling apart. Yeah, I can barely sit still to be with it all, and sleep is a thing of the past. I think my whole being is telling me to flee. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that is Vibhava. The teachings have been so comforting amidst this. Beautiful. And sometimes, Lisa, our world is truly falling apart. Yeah, there is no sugarcoating this. Yeah. And to sit with all these reactions, little sleep and mind on overdrive and fear arising, and to say, yeah, dukkha, 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 response to dukkha. It can't be any difference. I'm not doing anything wrong. I should not be understanding this. I shouldn't be handling this any better. This is painful. This is fearful. This is frightening. And I notice that my heart mind is on overdrive to try to solve that. It even sacrifices sleep for the attempts to try to solve that and find a way with that. And again, we are more than just one. Yeah, we need the Sangha of the family, we need the Sangha of the practicing community. We need each other to make it through those times. The task is not to become so independent that you can handle everything on your own. So please feel free to reach out. And you see now the messages of compassion flying for you. You are such a lovely crowd, by the way. And you're just sharing. In close relationships, I experience it as so difficult when I see the other person I love to jump between those extremes. Yeah. Identifying as a people pleaser and then going to the opposite direction, which has also an impact on our relationship. I find it really difficult to navigate in relationships like this and feel helpless. Of course you do. Yeah. We feel helpless when we experience bhava and vibhava tendencies within us. And we also notice how strong that clinging and that drive is. when it's occurring in the other. So what we do with ourselves, it's addressing the dukkha underneath, and sometimes maybe it's a true challenge, and we would need to come to the specific case, Anyush. But we can, when we really acknowledge and maybe address the hurt and the drivenness and the tension in the other as well, first of all, and bring compassion to this reaction to dukkha, we might bring them to some, we might bring these swings to some lesser outswing, sorry. And the alternative is healthy distraction. Yeah. Can I bring the conversation away from that? Yeah. Can I direct the attention of the other and my own to something? Yeah. I tend to, with my kids, for example, maybe we do a puzzle, or we do a hug, or we do something, anything, just first of all, distraction, nourishing, stabilizing, grounding again. And then we come back to the theme of dukkha, whatever it was. Yeah, beautiful, your messages. Thank you. Someone said, I have looked forward to hearing and seeing Ulla saying and acting, oh dear one. I wish this to all. Yeah, I wish this to all of you as well, dear ones. How come that we don't allow us these words and fully mean it? Yeah, like, can we practice that? Can we practice calling ourselves dear one, and just see what it takes to actually feel it in an authentic way? Oh, that is a lovely metta practice. I will remember that. Okay, sweet, sweet, sweet. Thank you so much for this outpour of compassion to each other. I really think we need those places, and you just created one. So thank you for everything you brought in. And yeah, Nicola just shared that we need the Sangha as well as almost a hub to come back to, as the world events are so upsetting. They are upsetting, they are confusing, they are fear creating, they are enrooting us all, and we need communities and compassionate sanghas where we almost like places where we feel, yet there is human sharing, and it can be okay, and it can be compassionate, and it can be kind, and to re-nourish our trust in communities as well. So thank you for doing this. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. I will be back in January with the third Noble Truth. I send you the other opportunities to practice together in the chat, and you will find the Dharma link in the closure sheet you will just see in a second. Thank you for all of you to be here.